You are listening to Eat Meat Sparingly, a word of wisdom podcast. I am your host, Ali Essig. This week, I'm so excited to have a deep discussion on why we tend to self-sabotage when it comes to our goals. I ran a triathlon. I participated in a triathlon this last weekend for the first time in my entire life. My husband actually originally signed up for the triathlon, and he has always been a good swimmer. He did water polo. He did water polo in high school. In fact, when we were dating, that was like one of the things that impressed me. We were hanging out at a pool and he swam across the pool and did that whole flip underneath the water. And I was like, oh my gosh, wow, he's really good at this. And I had never really I took one swimming lesson growing up to just teach me not to drown. Just this is how you tread water so that you don't drown. So I had never known how to swim. Well, he had signed up for this triathlon because a friend of him said that he was doing it, and it happened to be at the same lake where we have our lake house. So it was just a perfect opportunity to go. It's like, yeah, why would we not participate in this triathlon and then just spend the weekend at our lake house? He signed up and started training. And it was interesting. I would watch him train and there was just like FOMO inside of me. I'm like, you're doing something. I want to do this too. This is something I really would love to kind of do. And when we first met, when we were dating, I had talked to him about when I was on my mission, I made a list of 100 things that I want to do before I die. I was talking to one of my companions, Hermana Bolin, on that. And had this transfer together and we both made this list. Like she had come up with the idea. She's like, oh, we should make this list. And on the list was a million different things. And it's been cool to see my life because it's been over 20 years and to see how a lot of these things have slowly been checked off over time. But one of the things on there was to do a marathon or half marathon, which I've done in the past. And the other thing was a triathlon. So I had thought I remembered it was on the list. And as I'm seeing my husband prepare, he's telling me about there's two different types. When you sign up for a triathlon, there's actually three different things or four different things. It's kind of crazy. I had no idea until he signed up. Number one, when you sign up to do a triathlon, similar to a marathon, there's the full marathon option or there's a half marathon. And with a triathlon, you can do the full triathlon, which is called the Olympic triathlon, or you can do a sprint. And a sprint is kind of similar to what a half marathon is. It's half the distance. So instead of swimming for a mile, you're swimming for half a mile. Instead of biking for 25 miles, you're biking for 12.5. Instead of running 6 miles afterwards, you're just running 3 miles. And I was listening to him tell other people about, I signed up for the Olympic and them asking, what's the distance of a sprint? And trying to encourage other people to do it because it's just so fun when you have friends do it with you. And I was like, I think I want to do this, but I don't know how to swim. I don't know how to swim. And so my friends, we were all at church one day and my one friend's like, how about we just do a relay? Because there's the other thing that you can do when you do a triathlon. You can do just an aqua bike where you just do the swimming and the biking. But since I don't know how to swim, couldn't do that. Or you could do a relay. So you choose one person does one leg and then you can swap off. And so I was like, well, maybe we can do that if we can just find a swimmer. Because my friend said she would run, but I'm like, but I can run. And I'll bike because I'm a spin instructor. I've taught spin for years since 2013. So I am super comfortable on a bike. But anyway, as we were talking, it was all after church one day. And my friend who can swim, we're like, oh, you should do it with us. And she's like, I kind of actually want to do the whole thing. And I was like, I want to do the whole thing too. And my other friend's like, I want to do the whole thing too, at least the sprint version. But I don't know how to swim. And so she said, I will teach you. So I'm like, okay, let's do it. So we went ahead and I committed and I signed up. I'm like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to learn how to swim. I am a 41-year-old woman and I'm going to learn how to swim competitively. But I've always, again, with our lake house, like I water ski, I do all these things. I'm never drowned. I know how to basically do the freestyle and do the breaststroke, but with my head above water. I just didn't know the difference and how you can go a lot faster if you're willing to put your head in the water. So we go out for our first time. Luckily, it's like the last week in July is when we decided to sign up. So we go out to swim together just to see if this is possible. And she's like, okay, this is how you do it. Like you've done the freestyle before. Now you just stick your head in the water and then breathe to the side. And I sucked. Like I was terrible. And I'm like, this is hard. This is so much harder than I thought it'd be. And it was okay, but I didn't know that, how to do it. I didn't know the exact form. I kind of kept my head up a little bit more than I should have. And I was just so worn out with each leg. I'm like, how am I going to swim this far? I am just gassed. This is so difficult. And we practice more and more. I sign up for it. I'm like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to learn how to do this. And then things aren't getting much better. So I asked my friend and she's like, I don't really know what to tell you what to do. She didn't know how to teach. She knew how to swim and she thought she could teach me how to swim. But turns out knowing how to do something isn't the same as being able to teach someone else how to. She didn't really know what to tell me to improve. And I went swimming with my husband, same thing. He's like, I don't know, I think your legs are down too far. So kind of fix that. And I just couldn't do it. And so I distinctly remember walking into church one Sunday, just feeling like I am going to be doing this triathlon. It was like less than 2 months away. And I don't know how to swim. Like at this point, I literally could drown or just doggy paddle the whole thing. And that sounds terrible. I'll be the last one out. I was like, I don't know. I just was operating at this high level, setting this high goal for me and being so humbled as a 41-year-old woman, having to learn something new. And so I also was prepping for my talk at Restore at that same time. And the stress of that, of like, oh my gosh, I'm going to speak in front of 4,000 people about Heavenly Mother and how it relates to the word of wisdom. And just this topic that I'm like, am I going to be able to do it justly and everything? It was just this like high level of stress. And I'm going to go back to this and talk about this in a little bit later. But anyway, I go into church and I just had been so prayerful about it, like, just help me, and had been willing to be like, who can I pay to teach me swim lessons? I looked into actual official swim lessons and there wasn't any times or availability or even options to have professional ones. It was a lot more difficult to sign up for than I thought and a lot harder to find. And so I was like, well, maybe I'll just we have this listserv in this area. Maybe I'll just put it on the listserv. And then my friend in church who just moved, we just became new friends. She just moved to the area and she's like, how's your triathlon training going? I'm like, terrible. I suck. This is the worst. I do not know how to swim. And she was like, all 4 of my kids were on swim team. I can teach you how to swim. And so out of the kindness of her heart, literally, she let me go to her apartment pool. And I only needed 4 lessons, but we went 4 times and we just took an hour each time. And she was like, okay, let's start with your legs. You're bending too much at your knees. You need to literally not bend at the knees and just move at the hip, right? Keep your legs straight, move those legs back and forth at the hip instead of bending at the knees. Okay. So I was able to fix that. And that got me to be more of a parallel position. And the next thing was my head placement. When people had said all the time, you got to make sure that you're listening to the fish, right? You keep your head parallel to the water and then talk to the fish, listen to the fish in the sense of exhale while your gaze is looking down, and then bend your neck a little bit and twist. But she noticed I was just bending my neck and not my actual torso, and that I was coming up later. And so then we focused on my arms, and it's like when I would breathe, and it was like, okay, you start to breathe right as your elbow comes up out of the water. And she just was able to see things in me that I couldn't see myself. And I learned the importance of a coach, that sometimes we feel like, I am old enough. I am smart enough. I should know better. I should know how to do this. I should be able to teach myself. I should be able to go and learn. And the truth is, we all need someone to show us what we cannot see in ourselves sometimes. And I couldn't have done it without her. Like, she really was a godsend, truthfully, and did it out of the kindness of her heart. I didn't have to pay her. She was just a sweetheart. And we developed a really sweet friendship afterwards. In fact, I then gave her personal training lessons as a thank you. And so it was a cool swap. So I was able to work her through how to use the machines at her gym to do a strength training plan and all of these other things. So it was awesome. And we have developed just a really sweet, amazing friendship through it all. But I think some of us are just too afraid to ask for help. So how do we self-sabotage when it comes to setting goals, when it comes to operating at that higher level? And number one is just not being willing to ask for help. So that's number one. And so I'm so grateful for that. And then I continued to practice on my own. I felt like that was really the key. I still had to improve on a lot of different things. And I also realized that I don't have to swim freestyle the whole time. Once I realized I could do breaststroke for even just a little bit, because as I look out of the water to see where I am, I can do breaststroke for a few minutes and then go back to freestyle. And that was a game changer as well. Breaststroke is just a lot easier to do. And then when I was comfortable with also not using a nose plug and not using snorkels, but just exhaling through my nose and not being afraid about getting water up my nose, once I let go of that fear, I finally was able to do the full length. And I'll never forget leaving the pool after finally swimming the full length for the first time. I think it was within like 25 minutes. I was not that fast, but I was so proud of myself. Like when you operate at that higher level, when you set goals that are hard, you are being willing to work more resistance, right? There's greater resistance. There's greater challenges. Like there's always opposition in all things, right? The greater resistance, but the greater the joy. And I think that's what I learned. Like I was so proud of myself like that. Like I was more proud that first time swimming than even when I did the triathlon, because I was like, I did it. Like I wanted to cry. I was so proud of not giving up, of humbling myself, of being willing to be a learner, like to learn new things, and just that joy. When you set higher goals, it also allows you to feel more joy in your life, especially when you achieve them, even when they don't come easy. Like it was not like, oh, no big deal. I am not the type of person. And I've learned that a lot. Like things never are just easy in my life. I feel like maybe you feel like that too. Like I have to work for it. And I've always felt like even in school, in order to get good grades, I was never that just naturally smart person. I had to put in the work, put in the hours, and then I could get good grades. Like it just never came easy. And that's okay. And the difference between someone with a growth mindset and someone with a fixed mindset, sometimes when you think that it should be easy, that you're just naturally smart, if things don't come easily, then you give up. And so having that growth mindset, it's okay. No matter how challenging this is, I know I can work. I know I can keep trying. I know I can choose not to give up. And it was cool to see my growth in that time period. And so Rose is the name of the woman, my friend who taught me swim lessons. She said afterwards, she was like, you are so coachable. And I felt like that was the biggest compliment of all time, to be coachable, to be coachable. That's what I'm truly trying to do. And telling God all the time, I'm willing to be coachable. Just show me the way. So we go on Saturday, go to the triathlon, and it was exciting. I did it with my 3 good friends. My daughter ended up doing the relay when we were trying to organize a relay. We ended up, instead of me doing the bike, my daughter did the bike, and it was so fun to see her. And even afterwards, she's like, I want to do the full sprint next time. And for me, I'm like, maybe I'll do the full Olympic next time if I can learn how to run without knee pain. That's a whole other story. But in general, I had to still fight back that negative voice. So I go out, I start the triathlon, and I don't know about you, but if you've ever swam in open water versus a pool, it's really easy to go off track. Like it's not this straight line. And so I started swimming and I would look up and I'm like, crap. Like I went off to the side too much. And so then I'd have to do the freestyle a little bit like, oh crap, I went off to the side. So that's why it ended up being a mix of breaststroke and freestyle, because I just was zigzagging a little bit more than I wanted to. And I felt like, oh my gosh, like halfway through, I really was like, I am not doing as good as I had practiced. Like I was doing better when I practiced. Just that negative voice was like, you're going to just keep going, Allie, just keep going, just one stroke at a time. And so then I get out of the water and time to transition, and spend a little too long transitioning. I hadn't prepared myself for how fast I need to be in the transition. Get on the bike. And it was funny, after riding about 3 miles, I'm like, okay, I'm about halfway, right? Like, it's only 3 miles. Oh my gosh, this is so much longer. It felt so much longer because you're not allowed to listen to music. And I trained the whole time listening to music. And so music just like moves me in a way. And I couldn't listen to music when I ran or when I did the bike, but when I was even running, I have IT band syndrome. So after the bike, like my knees were killing it when it was time to run, but I'm like, I'm just not going to walk. That was like my only goal. And I couldn't listen to music. And so I just remembered the beat of one of my songs that I'd listened to before. And I changed the words to like, God, thank you for healing my knees. Thank you for healing my knees. I would just say that over and over to help with the knees, with the knee pain. Anyway, I finished it. I did my swim faster than I had even practiced. I was shocked that I ended up being like, it was one of the fastest times because I felt terrible about it. And I did the bike at about the same time I had trained for, even though it felt longer because I couldn't use music. And I did the run at about the same time I had trained. But considering that when you're doing back to back to back, like that's awesome, because I had trained I would do one bike ride at a time or one run at a time. So I was really happy with it. But here's the thing, those negative voices, like the negative voices, they come. They're like, you only did the sprint. You didn't do the Olympic. You still sucked at your swim. You didn't freestyle the whole time. You did breaststroke. Are you really, you can't run. You have all this knee pain and you're not a fast runner. You were like 10-minute miles. It's like, yes, I know. And so here are the takeaways that I want to share with you because the negative voice is always going to come. I am so freaking proud of myself for doing this. And I am not good at it. Like I am not a runner. I am not a biker. I could give you my times. It was like 22 minutes to swim, 48 minutes to do my bike ride, and it was like 30 minutes to do the run, right? So I am not fast by any means. In fact, out of my category, my age range, out of all the 41-year-olds, I was 7 out of 7, like the last one. But I did it. I did it. And so the point of me sharing this story is this: you have to do the mental work to overcome that negative voice, to overcome the self-sabotage. That negative voice is always going to come. That negative voice is fear-based. Fear-based thoughts they always talk in absolutes. You suck. You were 7 out of 7. You are not that good. Why try? You're never going to learn how to swim. Like these fear-based thoughts are always absolutes. They always speak in absolutes. Faith-based thoughts are always questions. They're always like, well, what if you worked harder? Do you think you could improve? Or who could I ask to help me improve in this area? Or what if you repeated the phrase, like with all this knee pain, like, oh, my knees suck, I'm not meant to run. It's like, what if you repeated the phrase, like, thank you for healing my knees? And just that thought, like, how could that empower you? Or what if like you can still find a way to run and overcome this? And so a lot of times we self-sabotage by A, not asking for help, but B, it's an all or nothing mentality of that, like you're all in or you're all out. That all or nothing is in psychology is called dichotomous thinking. It's black or white. And truthfully, it's actually very lazy thinking. When we let that all or nothing voice, like you suck, this is terrible, you'll never be good at this. Why try? If you can't do it perfectly, why try? When we let that thinking overcome us, we're being lazy. We're truly being lazy. And it does take work to overcome it. It takes a lot of work to choose better thoughts. And there's 3 different tools that I highly suggest to use in order to overcome the all or nothing thoughts. And this deals a lot with eating meat sparingly, because a lot of you guys who are listening to this, you're toying around with the idea of eating meat more sparingly. And guess what? It is hard. It is off the beaten path. This is not the typical way that most people live their life. Like the typical way most people live is eating meat for at least lunch and dinner, if not breakfast too. And so if you're choosing a different path, you're going to have to overcome these thoughts, like the thoughts of, oh, you're not getting enough protein. Why try? Or whatever it is, instead of like, maybe I could learn, maybe I could get my blood tested, maybe I could see another path, have more of a growth mindset instead of a fixed mindset. So we take on these identities when we go to this all or nothing. And the identity sometimes when we are struggling is you're not good enough or you're really bad at this. It's usually this, again, absolute. But the secret to a faith-based identity is to tell yourself that you are a learner. I learned this from Russell Brunson. Russell Brunson learned it from Tom Bilyeu. And he basically said the identity that is anti-fragile, that you cannot break. If you have this identity of like, I am an amazing business person, and then your business fails, like clearly, like you're going to think you're terrible. If you have the identity of being a thin person and then you get some disease, or being healthy and then something happens, then you're crushed. And so what is the best identity? And we know as, members of our faith that the identity we should take on is I'm a child of God. And yes, I agree. That is the most powerful identity. But to me, that's difficult to understand how do I actually act if I'm a child of God? It's harder for me to grasp. Where if you think about it, if you are a learner, if you are a child of God, then you believe that we have infinite potential. Then you believe that we can grow and improve, and like we're here, but if we're a child of God, we can go up there. We can really rise to a higher level. And in order to do that, we have to be a learner. So taking the identity of a learner, taking that identity, it's the most anti-fragile thing we can do. Be all in. If you are an all or nothing person, great. Be an all or nothing person into being a learner. I'm more of a moderator. I'm not an all or nothing person. I think that's why eating meat sparingly works perfectly for me. But even if you're not an all or nothing person, I can still be all in on growth. I can still be all in on learning. And choosing to do that triathlon, I could look at that as, well, you did it and you were number 7 out of 7. Or like, you did it. You look how freaking amazing. You couldn't even swim. You could not even swim that distance on Labor Day. I was at the lake on Labor Day and I swam out and I had to turn around at a buoy to go the same distance for the triathlon. And I had to take a 20-minute break on the buoy. I was like, I can't, I'm down. I'm gassed. Like, I cannot do this. I could not do it a month ago. But if I am all in on being a learner, it's like, I succeeded. I won. I am the winner, guys. I probably learned the most out of all 7 of those ladies that were the same age as me. I am so freaking proud of myself. And that's it. Being so proud of yourself on learning is how you get there. Learning new recipes, learning how to cook plant-based, like just being proud of yourself, whether or not you succeeded in the meal, whether or not everyone ate it, just being proud of yourself that you did it, that you learned how to make cashew cream cheese, that you learn how to make tofu yogurt, like just learning. It's so fun. And when you are all in on learning, your joy is so full because you're so proud of yourself. So how do you catch yourself in these fear-based thoughts and go to faith-based thoughts? Because again, fear is speaking in absolute, faith is asking questions. And there's 3 different types of therapy that can help you, or just these modules in therapy. So number 1, you'll see a lot of life coaches use this. In fact, Brooke Castillo, who owns the Life Coach School, and Jody Moore practices under her, they use what's called the model. And the model, truthfully, is cognitive behavioral therapy. It's very similar, just a different name. So what's cognitive behavioral therapy? That is where you ask yourself these thoughts when they come, these like absolute base thoughts. Is this true? Is it true? Right? Is it true? Is it helpful? Is it kind? Is it true that I suck at swimming and I'll never be able to learn? No, no, it's not true. It's not helpful and it's not kind. So we can choose to switch our thoughts, because when we switch our thoughts, it will give us better results, right? It empowers us. When we have these fear-based thoughts and we let them take over, it's victim mentality. It's letting us give all of our power away. Like the best example of this when it comes to eating plant-based is people who are like, well, my kids won't eat this way, or my husband won't eat this way, so I can't be successful, period. Instead, ask yourself, how could I? That's fear-based. Fear-based is absolute. They do it this way, therefore I cannot. And I gave all of my power to them. What are the results? So in cognitive behavioral therapy, it's like, okay, if that's your thought, that's okay to think that. But what results are you getting when you think that? The results are you just gave your power to your husband and your kids. But if you question it, instead of saying this is how it is, but it's like, how could I? How could I make this work, even though my kids don't eat this way, even though my husband doesn't? How could I? It brings you out of fear into faith. And it's more empowering. It gives you better results. That's the most important thing. You get better results. You find a way to make it work. The best example of this, inside the Plant Wise membership, we have a client who she just had foot surgery. Okay. And so our goal this week in our membership was to get at least 8,000 steps a day. So of course she could easily be like, I just had foot surgery, I'm not even going to try. But instead she asked a faith-based question. How could I make this work? Is there a way that I could still get 8,000 steps, even though I just had foot surgery? And what she did is she bought one of those hula hoop things that like adjusts around your waist, right? And it has a little ball and you move around. And she just every hour would stop working and just do some hula hoops, 5 minutes. And she would get her steps. Like, I was so proud of her and she was so proud of herself. And our coaching call, it's amazing. It is amazing when you allow yourself to question, to be curious. Curiosity brings in the questions, which brings in the faith-based thoughts instead of those negative fear-based thoughts that are automatically going to come. Like, our brain is wired for survival. It's wired to go straight to the fear-based thoughts. So that's cognitive behavioral therapy. And the second tool that I find super helpful is just acceptance commitment theory or therapy. The acceptance commitment theory is this. Number 1 is acceptance. You just accept yourself. You're like, yeah, I suck at swimming, and that's okay. Yeah, I'm a 41-year-old learning how to swim, having to humble myself. And that's okay. And that's okay that I am not amazing at it. And that's okay. Accepting yourself for where you are. And the easiest way to do that is to add, and that's okay, at the end of the fear-based sentences that come. It's like, you suck at swimming, and that's okay. You were 7 out of 7. And that's okay. Having those thoughts, that's accepting yourself for where you are. But then the acceptance commitment is you recommit. So then you recommit to your goals. Yeah. And that's okay. And that means that I just got my personal best in my triathlon. And so I have room for improvement the next time I do it. That is the commitment. Like you recommit to yourself. Like I'm all in on growth. I'm all in on learning. And now I have room to improve and I have room to grow. And thank goodness I didn't get amazing, or else I'd be like, how am I going to get to the next level? And so it's great to recommit to it's great to accept where you are and just to recommit yourself to your goal. You don't even have to reconfigure your thoughts or think things that you don't believe are true. And instead of rethinking those thoughts, like cognitive behavioral therapy, it's like, yep, those are my thoughts. And that's okay, but I'm recommitting to my goal. I'm going to keep doing this. Yep, it really sucks that my kids and my husband won't eat this way and they don't believe in eating plant-based, but I feel strongly that this is important and I'm going to keep going. Okay. I love acceptance commitment theory. And I use both interchangeably. Sometimes it's just like, I'm not ready to think my thoughts through. Like I want to have a crappy thought. Sorry. Like I want to be real sad right now. I want to be real mad. I want to be disappointed. And that's okay. It's okay for me to feel this way. And I'm still going to keep going. I'm not going to give up. Sometimes that's the best way forward. And then the last method, the last tool I want to teach you today is all about internal family systems therapy. Internal family systems therapy is recognizing that there's lots of different parts of you. So like the movie Inside Out, we've all seen Inside Out, right? There's different parts of her within her. And when you understand that you're not black or white, right? You're not all good or all bad. We have different parts. We all have these thoughts and these struggles that we all fight with. When we struggle with something, we ask, what part of me? Like, what is this part of me that's struggling? For example, learning how to swim. What is this part of me that I'm really struggling with? And part of it is that I grew up, my parents couldn't afford to put me in swim lessons, for example, or in soccer or in gymnastics and all the things that my heart so desperately wanted to do. Like I wanted to learn, I wanted to improve, but we just couldn't afford it. And that wasn't an option for me. And so whenever I would do sports with my friends, I would suck. I was terrible. I am not coordinated. I can't dance, like all the things. And so it's just that, I suck. I'm terrible. That's that part of me. It comes back. And what does that part of me need? So that's the second question is you recognize what part of you is feeling that way and what does she need? And so I'd stop and be like, okay, guess what? It's okay. It's okay to be bad at it. It's okay that this is part of the learning process, that sometimes you have to be bad at something before you're good at it. And really that part of me just needs some love. There's nothing wrong with being bad at something. Just what does that part need? Just love and attention and just to be heard, seen, heard, and understood. So just listen to her, listen to that part of you. What is she trying to say? What does she need to, how does she need to be understood? And how does she need to be seen and recognizing that? And then moving forward, right? Once you serve yourself in that way, it's like, okay. And then it's easier to move forward. And that can really help overcome more deep-seated issues that may be connected to why you're not able to grow. Now, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I get obsessed about how to help people change. When I started eating plant-based and helping other people do the same thing, I would see people succeed and do really well. And I would see other people not do well and not succeed. And it broke my heart. I'm like, why? Why can some people not change? What's going on? Why can they not change? And there was no one answer. There's so many different reasons. But I think at the core of all of it, as I've studied and I've learned, I literally have become so obsessed studying all the different things and all the different ways, becoming certified in like everything possible, literally everything possible. Like you name something, I'm like, yeah, I'm probably certified in it because I was trying to get just one key, like one puzzle piece. Will that help someone? Will that help someone? Will that help them to improve and get better at just eating plant-based and make the changes they know they need to make, but haven't been able to make it? And I truly believe at the center is if you can shift your identity to not only being a child of God, but understanding that being a child of God means that you are a learner, that it's okay for you to learn. It's okay for you to be bad at something before you're good at it. It's okay to not get the results you want, to truly have a growth mindset over a fixed mindset. And you see this all the time, and your thoughts are always going to be that fixed mindset thought. Like you're never going to improve. Like when I was trying to learn how to do a pull-up, same thought, my body is not meant for this. Like I cannot do a pull-up, guys. It took me 2 years 2 years of consistently trying before I could finally do a pull-up. 2 years. And even then I went to the gym today and I just went and tried to do a pull-up and I couldn't do it. I'm like, what? Because I've been focusing so much on triathlon training. I like lost the ability. Oh my gosh. So I'm going to get right back to it. It's fine. I'm going to be able to do it. Things don't have to come easy. In fact, it's better if they don't come easy, because that means that you're all in on growth, that you're all in on learning. And so guys, today, please be inspired to keep going, keep moving forward, keep trying. Don't give up. Just don't give up. We always have those hard times, like those, I don't know. I sat down. It was the week I gave my talk at Restore. And it's always at night. Why is it at night? At night, I was going through everything and just looking at my business, looking at everything. And it was through the lens of, you suck. Like, you're not that great. You're never going to be as big as other people, blah, blah, blah. Like all those fear-based thoughts came. And then I went to bed. And when I woke up, my dear friend, my old neighbor, Jan, who used to live across the street, she's in her 70s. She called me. She's like, I was praying and I just need to let you know, don't give up. Do not, whatever you do, don't give up. And I was like, well, I wasn't going to give up. I'm never going to give up. But it felt like God knew me and knew my struggles and knew my frustrations and knew that sometimes I feel like I can't measure up and I'm not good enough. And we all feel that way sometimes, but just don't give up. Just don't give up. Keep fighting, keep learning, keep growing, because your joy, when you do it, your joy can be so full, and you still have to fight past those negative thoughts. Yeah, I could have done a lot better in the triathlon, but man, I'm so proud of myself for trying. Man, I'm so proud of myself for being bad at it because I did it. Because I didn't even know how to swim a month ago. Like, I didn't even think this was possible. So anyway, guys, I hope you have a great week. And I'm off to a YouTube conference this week with my son. I'm so excited to learn the ins and outs of how to be better at YouTube, because guess what? I am always learning. I'm always learning. And if you need more recipes, definitely check out my YouTube channel to learn more. And if you're more interested in the support and help, this is a great example of things that we talk about on our group coaching calls every week inside the Plantwise membership. So if you want more information about the membership, just make sure to look at the show notes below, because I would love to support you. Like I said, I'm obsessed about how to help people change, how to help them overcome the emotional cycle of change where we just struggle. We all get stuck in that valley of despair. Like, how do we get out of it? How do we actually overcome and become informed about how this is possible in your life? And so I go deep into lots of different topics like this, and I hope that you found this valuable. All right, have a great week. Thank you for listening to Eat Meat Sparingly, a Word of Wisdom podcast. I'm your host, Ali Essig. And if you need more help and support with transitioning to eating more plants so you can lose weight and improve your gut health and just reduce your risk of chronic disease, then make sure to check out my Plantwise membership. That's PLANTWHYS, because I like to teach the why behind eating more plants. But if all you need is just a couple more delicious recipes that feed your family and everyone loves, and not to mention super simple and easy, then make sure to check out my YouTube channel, which is also Plantwise, PLANTWHYS. Hope to see you there.